Hello. My name is Pablo. I'm a designer here at the E, and I got the pleasure today to join you for a Q&A to celebrate Bilibili's 100,000 members. I want to thank everyone from the Wegame community for supporting us, and I'm very glad to be here with you. Let's see what you have to ask. Question 1. I'm so into this future space the E has created. You must have put a lot of effort into it. We have. Even designing several sets of languages for different factions. I'm eager to learn about the details, how they live on, what's the culture like, are there any traditions or rules? So it really depends. We've explored some of this, but not as much as we would like, but it's something that we'll continue to do. But for example, the corpus, they're not all the same. It's kind of like here on Earth, if you go and visit Italy or you visit Jamaica, there's different customs, different cultures and stuff like that. So it's similar for all the factions that we have. So the corpus, there's the main corpus that you fight and that they're like a church of greed and the followings that they have. But then you can also, for example, go to Fortuna and then you find a very different subculture there where there's like people that are more bound to each other and are a little more loyal, and they're not after the greed, they're being exploited, so they're different. And then you can look at for example, the Mycona colony, which are the ones that appeared during the Glass Gambit quest, which have the tradition of I won't spoil the quest, but if you look at that, they show their traditions there, and they have some drawings and they have like a history of something they do with the infestation. So we do want to explore even more of that, like smaller like little pieces of the world to kind of keep on building it. But it is a very vast world, so there's a whole lot of opportunity there. Question number 2. I like the Orokin style architecture. Do you have any plans to implement this Orokin style design for more in-game content? For example, in addition to the current Orbiter or the Drifter camp, do you consider having the state of Orokin as a next open social area that will allow players to walk in and experience the glorious Orokin Empire? So actually we refer to that style as the Tenno style. Orokin style, we generally refer to it as the white and golds from like the Void or Lua. But for the Tenno style, right now we just released Angels of Saruman, which is a big ship that is in that style, only it's it's seen better days, let's just say. You do have your dormy zone, which is like your little apartment, and in there it has all of that sort of stuff, and we have a lot of extra decorations and stuff that are in that style. The relays, we also make them on that style. I don't think right now there's like any plans to expand further than that, because we literally just did one that is in that style. But for Orokin, I'm not gonna say more than that. Question number 3. My favorite Warframe is Excalibur Umbra. I'm curious about the next Umbra Warframe will be, and what forms will the Umbra series going to be unveiled. We don't really have plans for more Umbras at the moment. Excalibur Umbra is pretty special in the way that we did it. Like, it's there was a story behind it, and obviously the quest for the sacrifice is all revolving behind the origins of Excalibur Umbra. So never say never, but at this point we don't really have plans to go further into now making, we have 49 Warframes, so making 48 more Umbras is kind of daunting. So yeah, at this point we don't really have a plan for it, but never say never. I do love Excalibur Umbra, so definitely I can see the desire. Question number 4. Do you consider adding farming areas to the Drifter camp or on the place of Avalon where players can cultivate specific plants or raise animals? Thought this mode might be popular, not only expanding the player base, but also improving Warframe's retention rate. This is a bit of a spoiler. Hopefully no one will see this, but if you go and visit your dormy zone in Angels of Saruman that just came out, just look around. You might see a little tease of what's to come. A little tease of what's to come. Question number 5. Multiplayer dungeons are impressive. Miss the old days when 8 Tennos worked together in trial missions. Have you considered bringing this back as a trial mission or launching a brand new trial mission? We actually have, that's something every now and then we talk about it again. 8-player missions were really complicated for us. Like the way everything is set up in game right now, those 8-player missions were really prone to basically failure. Essentially, there were a lot of bugs. They were really hard to test for us. I don't know. So the answer, the truthful answer is we even don't know. Like, we do miss them as well. We do miss the idea of the story missions. We do want to bring them back at some point. it is not something we have forgotten about. We definitely go back and revisit it every now and then, and maybe at some point it will come back. Question number 6. The distinct warframes are the game's soul. I want to ask the design team regarding the source of inspiration for the design of the warframe. Are there any rules to follow? Generally, they come from two different parts. Sometimes, basically, we have some concept artists that basically make designs. And right now, if I go and look, there's like a folder with several concept arts for potential warframes. And there's like probably like 20 plus in there that are mainly just like, a concept art, a little bit of a blurb for someone's idea, and a name, and that's kind of it. So sometimes I'll go in as a designer and I'll take a look through that folder and be like, ooh, that's really cool. And then I'll start to think, okay, what could this warframe do? How could it work? And if I find something inspiring, then I grab it from there and then we continue. The other path is, for example, for Nidus, it was the other way around. I had an idea for the mechanics I wanted, and then I talked to a concept artist and I was like, okay, this is kind of what I want. And from there, they developed the look and feel for him. So it can come from either way. Generally, like in terms of rules, there's not really rules. Mostly, I would say like there's certain priorities on what things we care about. And, we want them to feel different. We don't want one warframe to play very similar to another warframe. We want them to feel distinct. And not only how they play, but also how they feel, how they move, how they look, etc., etc. So those are kind of the things that we value the most. How unique is this warframe? Question number 7. Will operators have melee amplifiers or weapon systems similar to warframes? They will not. We actually recently removed melee from operators. They used to have the little void. Void blast. I forgot the name for a moment. We removed that, and now when you press melee, you switch to your warframe and attack with melee. We are adding a little bit more depth to the amps, so we are revisiting a few of the choices that we made with amps in the past and trying to add a little bit more of decision making for you guys, a little more customization. So we are looking at that, but we don't want the operator to play the same as the warframe, because then what is the point of having both, right? So we want you to feel one way when you're playing with your warframe, and then when you switch to your operator, it should feel distinct in a way. So that's why we don't really want to have like a one-to-one match of how the gear works for your operator and for your warframe. What's the purpose of the Quills and Little Doc? They know the capabilities of Tenno operators and Sentient very well. The DOS relates to the mysterious void power. Well, they relate. If you played the New War, you went through the tower of the Unum, you know a little bit more of, well, and when I say a little bit more, it's a little bit more because it's pretty mysterious. You know there's a power there, and you know that the Quills and Little Doc, by extension, basically follow the guidings of the Unum, and the Unum clearly is a power beyond what we know. That's as far as I want to go on that. We definitely will at some point get back to the Unum. It's definitely something that is very interesting. But in terms of like what they do in the world, the Quills and Little Doc kind of follow the guidings of the Unum is what they do. Will there be more? Question number 9, sir. Will there be more types and difficulties of boss challenges in the future? The current boss fights are not challengeable. Yeah, honestly, it's one of those things that is very complicated to do because we really like the power fantasy of Warframe. But the opposite side of that is that some Warframes are so powerful that it's kind of impossible to make really tough bosses because the Warframes are not like very tightly balanced. So that means essentially you can't find a strategy with current Warframes to one or two shot most bosses. So we've always struggled with this because, well, you can also do that. Also, if we make bosses really hard, then a lot of Warframes become quote-unquote unusable for that content. We do have some things coming kind of soon where we will be trying another swing at that, another swing at making a bit more challenging combat, but we're not really looking if you're thinking more like in the context of in a traditional MMO where you have a raid with bosses where it can take you months of coordinated work to finally defeat a boss, we're not really looking at that type of content at the moment. Question 10. Why don't we make a Warframe theme animation like the Arcane League of Legends, received a big hit? Telling the story before Ordis transformed to Cephalon, a glorious past of Arcane will be fascinating. Honestly, I loved Arcane. It was super cool. One of the very interesting things about how they did Arcane is actually a lot of it was developed in-house. So that's what kind of kept the feel and all of the... the special sauce that they have at the Riot team to make this sort of stuff. It's not a specialty that we have. It's probably beyond their things, but we have in the past thought about it and done a little bit of ideation. It would be amazing, but it is a bit far away from our from the sort of things we've done before. So it would be really cool, though. It would be really cool. Question 11. I like the character of Lotus very much, and I want to see her turn into an ordinary NPC. Will there be follow-up quests of Lotus? I think Lotus will always be, a very central character. She's very important for many things in the story. It's not the end of her story, but it is like the sequence of quests that we've done up to here is the big arc that we had thought for her from beginning to end. Will there be other stories in the future that involve her? Absolutely, but I think you should consider like this part like a first. Obviously, it's not a trilogy because there's more than 3 quests, but it's her first big arc, and I'm very glad that it just kind of goes from beginning to end, and it feels like a complete story. But there's always more things to tell after. Question 12. Will there be functional differences between the roles of the operator and the drifter in the main quests? And whether the drifter and operator can share cosmetics in the future? So for the first one, not really. Like basically, this is a little tricky to answer because there is a thing that, as it currently stands, the operator and the drifter work pretty much the same, and it's mostly a change in looks. Obviously, when you played with the drifter in the quest, the drifter played very different, and there might be a little bit of that coming back at some point. You can look back at some older trailers to get an idea of what I'm talking about. But for the most part, when you're playing with your operator or with the drifter, they're supposed to fulfill the same sort of role. As for the cosmetics, we are literally we've been looking into this and trying to find how to share the skins. Essentially, the way that they're made makes it so it doesn't work. So we had a couple ideas, technical ideas on how we could convert from operator skins so that they could be used for drifter. Unfortunately, neither of those panned out. They didn't look quite right. There was essentially, when you're converting from one skeleton to the other, if something grows, imagine you have like an arm. If the arm is longer, it kind of looks more stretchy, but you cannot just scale it up because then it looks kind of like a sausage. That's not like, maybe it's a little hard to visualize, but in any case, the point is it's hard to just convert them because the proportions are different. So things end up looking kind of weird. We have one more idea on how to do it that is more complicated and time consuming, but it's being explored. We were literally talking about it like earlier today, so we're still exploring ways to achieve it. We can't make any promises of if it's going to work or not, because we've been trying stuff and unfortunately it hasn't worked so far. Question 13, will there be new gameplay in the future such as VR or hide and seek mode? There will definitely always be different things that we explore. I mean, I think even if you look at the Angels of Saruman, you can see that it leans much more towards exploration than all other updates did. So we're always trying different things. I don't think we'll, I shouldn't say no, but I don't think we'll ever go into something like a Battle Royale or something like that, where we're just like totally departing from what is the core of Warframe, but you can expect some pretty different things, especially on the next 2 big updates. There's like a couple of things that do deviate quite a bit from the norm of gameplay that we usually do. And I think that's about as far as I can go without spoiling too much. That's it. Those are the questions that get sent to me. I hope you enjoy your time here with me. I want to thank you again for supporting us all this time, and I hope you have an excellent day. Adios.